Today I want to talk about meditating and the benefits that I've experienced from taking this up and going from someone in my teenage years who was very nihilistic and pessimistic and skeptical of pretty much everything, as I think may be common for many teenage males. A lot of the things that you're skeptical about end up being the actual work that you need to do and the place that you need to lean into. So, most notably, by meditating, you're reinforcing a conscious decision to be more aware. And what that means is that you become more aware in all aspects of your life, right? We never actually switch our awareness off unless we're asleep. Of course, sometimes in dreams we can be aware. But what that means is usually there's a running narrative of our lives and what's happening in the form of being bombarded essentially by thoughts. And when we meditate, gradually you step back from those thoughts and you can kind of cleanse your awareness. You reach a state of peace from the simple act of 10 or 20 minutes, or as long as you like, choosing to just sit and just be still. And there's an alarm. When we choose to be still, we allow our nervous system to rest. And you realize how common it is for people to regulate through mechanisms which don't serve them. And I've done this for years of my life. I know most people do. And what I mean by this is I'm only just becoming aware of nervous system regulation now, like genuinely this past year, and realizing this is work for me to do if I want to feel fulfilled, if I want to feel content, calm, rejuvenated, live my life in a way that aligns with who I want to be. And before this, I'd regulate through nicotine is a common one. Many people drink, many people have constant noise, which is easier than ever in the modern age. You endlessly scroll, or you can have the TV or the radio or whatever it might be. It's important to realize, as far as your nervous system is concerned, you are regulating. So if you feel stressed out and you feel like you're kind of worked up and then you end up having a drink and you feel calm, that has worked. Your nervous system feels regulated. But obviously what you've done there is you've begun to plant the seeds of a dependence on using alcohol to regulate yourself. And no one's saying what's bad or what's good necessarily, but we all know what serves us, right? And I know that drinking made me tired, it made me forgetful, it made me not feel good. It's that simple. In the short term, you have relief, and then you have the long-term pain, which is often what a lot of simple fixes do, right? They give you short-term relief, and because you've almost bypassed the necessary mechanism of the universe, is how I see it, you have to invest to have the payoff. Good things come to those who wait. To build something good, you have to lay the foundation for that, and that takes time. Okay? And this is your life. So there's no better time than now to start reflecting and working on that. And it's got nothing to do with perfectionism or trying to achieve some abstract goal. It's about feeling your best, right? That's what it comes down to for me. I'm not trying to live in a way where I'm wanting to have a perfect outlook and all of these things. I want to feel as capable as possible. And I didn't even realize for most of my life that at some point I had learnt to regulate through these external substances and through behaviors that weren't healthy for me. And this directly clashes with when you begin to meditate regularly, because meditation in itself is regulating. And what happens is there ends up being this space, right, where you would have fallen towards that regulation in whatever form that might have been, but now you sit in the discomfort and different things will arise depending on where you're at in your life. It's so difficult to snap out of this though, right? You know, it's easy to imagine you've worked a job, maybe you had a stressful day, you're exhausted, you get back and you just want an easy fix, whether it's unhealthy food, sugar, sweets, like alcohol, weed is also a common one because weed does exactly that mechanism. You don't have to do the work, you simply become calm and, you know, things feel more enjoyable, you can watch the TV and feel satisfied. When you remove these external regulators, suddenly it's just you in the moment and there's nothing to quickly get you out of that place. So the only option seems to be to lean into it, which is where you notice that's the space that the work's meant to be done. Or at least for me, I noticed that it's now this journey that I'm on of healing my regulation and essentially becoming more stable in my own experience, which means I then will feel more capable, trust myself more. These different components which shift your reality, the way you engage with reality, come from a simple place. One of the biggest ones I noticed was trust. When I was regulating externally and caught up in these cycles of living for short-term pleasure and not aware in a somatic way or not aware in a meaningful way of my dysregulation, what ends up happening is you make these promises to yourself, like one day I'll do this, or yeah I'll stop this, and then you fail and you fall back to it, right? Because you've not chosen truly to stick to it. And what I noticed is when I began to make these shifts in my behavior, I started to actually trust myself and trust who I am, which means I now can engage in the world in a way where I feel more secure in everything, because how you feel is your experience of life. If you feel down, this is why there's so many people who, it's easy to say they're negative or hateful. It's how you feel. If you feel terrible, that spreads and that is your existence, right? Your outlook on life is how you feel and your thoughts and your experience. Of course, when you become aware, you realize you don't have to trust how you feel, and you can start working on how you feel and begin this process of not being fully lost in essentially the illusion of I am, right? When we begin to associate with I am and we lose ourselves in the experience, we are able to suffer far more than being able to notice potentially a state of being and say, this isn't how I actually feel about this situation. I know I'm tired, I know I'm exhausted, I'm going to give myself that leeway because you're aware of it. When we associate with, oh, I'm so stressed out right now, you've instantly also fallen into that trap of I am so stressed out. You know, are you? You're actually the awareness of these feelings, of these sensations, and once you latch onto the thoughts, you're lost in the stream again, right? You're like flowing down the rapids of the river. And from time to time this happens anyway, it's fine, you know, but many people never surface for air. They never notice that they can actually step back. You can get out of the river and sit on the bank and think, okay, you know, I'm going to hop on that log and go down this path instead. You know, it's having awareness, and meditation reinforces that. Another way of seeing it, or a metaphor I always use, is realizing you're in the driver's seat. So many of us live life as if we're the passenger in our own lives. We have dreams that we just assume are dreams, so they're not achievable, so they kind of get put in the corner. But no, you are part of this existence. You are part of the universe. There's a reason you have dreams, right? There's a reason they feel out of reach, but because to achieve them, it means you have to grow. You have to become that version of yourself, that you can be, that you want to be. It's about noticing in the moment, in the now, your experience, because your now will be completely different in 5 years, in 2 years, in 10. There's things in the moment now that you're maybe aware of that you're ignoring. And we can't get away with it. We cannot, because we're the ones who are aware of it. Well, I've said this before, but you're not fooling anyone, except you're not even fooling yourself. We think that we can kind of block these things out, but if you're aware of it, you're aware of it. And by choosing to meditate most days, again, not in a frantic, manic way. I used to go all in on everything. If I was going to work out, suddenly I'd be on the most strict diet, and I'd be pumping every day, and and then you burn out because you've gone from 0 to 100. Similarly, with meditation, if I were to begin that, I would have suddenly done it every day and then ramped it up. I need to do half an hour. No, I need to do an hour a day. Inevitably, I would have burnt out as well. And a massive difference in how I'm now able to maintain the habits that I want to build is I've removed the pressure. So ironically, this narrative that was running my life, which I was reinforcing, essentially a form of shame, of saying you have to do this, or you're worthless, or that would cause me to suffer. That would cause me to give up. That would cause me to suffer more. Whereas now I'm soft on myself, and that does the opposite, right? I'll say, it's okay. We didn't meditate yesterday. I'll meditate today. There's no shame involved. And this process of becoming more aware, of taking the time to give yourself the space to breathe and to notice, you can gradually adjust on your part. You can gradually adjust towards what it is that you want for your life and for your experience. And step back, it's getting out of our head. Alan Watts said, make sure once a day you get out of your head, or something like this, out of your mind maybe, in the sense that we have the ability to. And I'm just very much of the belief that we burn out because we stay caught in that rapid river. We stay caught in the flow of thoughts bombarding us, and we keep latching on, and we don't separate. And it's clear that people live whole lives like this, caught up in the act. And there's massive freedom and calm in being able to notice that separation. And then you notice that in yourself and in others and in everything, right? This spreads across your whole experience. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to talk with me, please leave a comment. I would love to discuss, or feel free to send me a message. And I wish you all the best, and hope you enjoy meditation. I'll see you very soon. Thank you for watching.